Hello, and welcome to another edition of 360 Half Seconds. I'm Kia from 360 Vet Sales, and today I want to introduce somebody new. With me today is Bonnie Ruszczyk. She is the marketing director at 360 Vet Sales. Bonnie, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm excited to be here with you today, Kia.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for joining us today. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. So just a reminder of how this works. Typically, I would be the one asking the questions, and I would give the respondent about 360 half seconds or 3 minutes to answer my questions. Today, I'm the one that's going to be on the hot seat. So Bonnie is going to be grilling me um, with some questions. So I'm ready to go whenever you are, Bonnie. Tell me, do you got something for me?
I do, and I won't grill you too hard.
Okay. Okay.
So, from your experience in working with veterinarians, what are some of the most common reasons that they decide to sell their practice? And are there trends that you're seeing in what motivates owners to take that next step?
So that's a really good question. There are so many different reasons why people choose to sell their practices or their businesses in general. So, in, for time reasons, let me just give you kind of maybe the first three or four that come to my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. The first one is probably the most obvious one that I think anybody would think about, which is retirement or planning on retirement.
Mhm.
Um, Many times veterinary owners out there, they've run their practice for so many years, and just like any other business, they're getting to the point where they need to start exit planning. And so retirement becomes probably the most, I wouldn't say it's the most common, but it's the most obvious reason. Now, the one thing I will say about if you're watching this and you're thinking about retiring and that's the reason you want to sell your practice, what I would say that you really need to take into account is that you need to start making that decision to sell about 2 to 3 years in advance of retirement. And the longer, the better. And the reason I say that is because um, typically when a buyer wants to buy your practice, they're going to want you to stick around for at least 3 years, but that is changing. We do see certain scenarios now where they want you to stick around for even longer. So um, just a rule of thumb, if retirement is on your mind and selling your practice is on your mind, 2 to 3 years ahead of time is kind of best practice in terms of going to market for your practice when you want to retire. The next thing, seeking freedom from the burdens of ownership. They want to buy more time. They want more time with their families. They want to, have more time to spend on their hobbies, to take vacations. They no longer want the responsibility of the buck stopping with them, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, for instance, let's have a situation where something goes awry. Somebody calls in sick, let's just say, and now on a Saturday morning when you had other plans, you have to go in because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. And even if it's not your fault or anything like that, it is your problem. It is your situation to have to deal with. So along with that comes, putting out every fire that comes up. I think at some point when you've owned any business, and especially a veterinary practice that does come with a lot of stress, there comes a point in time where you say, you know what? I just don't want the burdens of ownership anymore. This is one we're seeing more and more commonly. Here's one that I didn't really expect when I first got into this, but I hear this probably more and more from our clients, which is the changing dynamics and how a practice is run. Um, as most people who are in this space understand, there is a nationwide demand for veterinarians and veterinary staff. And what does this result in? This results in continuously rising wages, which is quite honestly very tough for a small business to,
Yeah.
to keep up, right? And then what I'm hearing a lot now is you're getting very rigid demands from your staff. And that makes it much harder to manage how you'd like,
Hmm.
execute strategy how you'd like. I feel like the feedback I'm getting from a lot of veterinary owners is that they no longer feel like they're running the show. They feel like the employees are running the show. And again, it's very hard to run a business when you feel like you're at the mercy of everybody else.
Yeah.
Um, and the last one, and I think this is an important one, right? They want to take advantage of a very favorable market. The veterinary practice sales market, is a bubble market that is kind of dissipated, but coming off of the bubble, valuations in this space are still significantly higher than almost every other industry. When you look at a good industry, you're looking at, sometimes 7x, 8x multiples on, business acquisitions. In the veterinary market, even though we are way past the bubble at this point, the prices that veterinary owners are getting and the valuations they're getting are still significantly higher than what they would see in any other industry. And so that is a huge reason as to why a lot of people are taking advantage of this market. They see that there's an opportunity there and they know that it won't last forever. So
Yeah.
I would say those are kind of like the three or four, most common things I hear. Obviously, there's reasons beyond that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I guess now that you've shared those top four reasons, if someone is thinking about it or, was like, you know what, I am tired of running a practice and just dealing with all the
Mhm.
day-to-day stuff, and, maybe they're not sure whether it's time for them to consider this or not, what should they do?
That is a good question. So I think one thing I'd like to stress before I get into what you should do is
Mhm.
that you should only sell your business when you believe you're sure that it's your time, right? And a lot of times you're like, well, how do I know it's my
I
time?
I was going to
And
ask, how do you know?
yeah, how do I know it's my time? Well, I think a lot of it comes from having the right information in front of you. You may be like mentally there, emotionally there, but maybe you're still trying to figure out, hey, is this just the right time to do it from a business standpoint? So if any of what I talked about earlier applies to you, what I would suggest is reach out to us. Let us take a look at what you have. We offer a free valuation, and quite honestly, not enough people take advantage of it. Because the valuation, it not only gives you an idea of what the value of your practice is today to help you make a more informed decision of what you should do, but there are other things that we can glean from doing that exercise that'll help you decide if the time is right for you to consider the move now. I'll just give you a quick example because I know we're probably over time here,
Oh, yeah.
but we recently did a valuation for somebody at the beginning. It was actually at the beginning of this year, and when we looked at everything, we said, "Hey, there's still meat on the bone here," and we gave them based on what we could see within their financials. We gave them three things that they can improve on to add more value to the practice. And we said we could take you to market right now if you'd like, but we do believe you'd be leaving money on the table. So what do? They took the advice that we gave them. They just fixed those few things. They weren't anything crazy. They fixed those few things. 6 months later, they had an additional 2.1 to $2.3 million added to their valuation. So when they finally did decide to go to market, their valuation had risen that much. So doing that valuation is such an important exercise because we might also look at it and just say, hey, everything is great right now. Everything that you're doing is great right now. There's really not much room here to improve. So this is the time that you should do it and take advantage of this great market.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's good feedback too, because you're day to day in there and you really don't have any idea how valuable it is, but
Mhm.
knowing that and then being like, all right, if I can get an extra 2 point whatever million out of it, then for doing a couple of small things, yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and that's in that practice. If you're running a much larger practice, that number could be even higher. So,
Yeah.
each practice is unique in that sense. Each practice is unique in terms of how their valuation is going to work because, there's so many components that go into that valuation. But you're not going to know you personally for your own practice until you kind of go through that exercise. And again, it's something that we offer, as a courtesy because we don't really believe that you should be making decisions on what could be the most important asset that you have, or the most valuable asset that you have, I should say, until you have all the information in front of you. And if you do want to take advantage of that, please reach out to me. My name is Kia. It's KIA like the car at 360vetsales.com. Send me an email. We'll schedule some time. I'm going to learn a little bit more about your goals, get some information from you. It takes us about 5 days to do the valuation. And after that, we can have a much more in-depth conversation about how things look for you and what all the different options are. And again, we offer that as a courtesy.
Well, Sounds like a good plan right there. Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of your videos here and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bonnie. It's definitely different being on this side of it, but it was fun. Thank you.